What's up, everybody? This is Josh from Free Indeed, the channel that talks about what a Christ-centered biblical recovery process looks like. And in this video, we are going to talk about steps 6 and 7 of the 12 steps. We have videos for step 0, steps 1 through 3, steps 4 and 5, and this one's going to be about steps 6 and 7. They are grouped together in that way because not only do the steps go in order for a reason, but they're also grouped together in little sections that go in order from those groups. So I hope that makes sense. So step 6 and 7. Step 6 says, we were entirely ready for God to remove all these defects of character. And all these defects of character are those things that we discovered and we wrote down in step 4 and that we shared with someone in step 5. So this is really where we start to do the shedding of repentance and where our mind starts to change. And when when Paul says in Romans 12:2 that God rewires our brain, this is really where all that starts to happen internally. Inside of our brains, inside of our hearts is where our values start to change during this step. So we got an important verse, two verses that I want to read here from Jesus in John chapter 15, verses 1 and 2. And this is what this process, what Jesus was talking about is the pruning. So John 15, 1 and 2 says, I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine dresser. Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he takes away. And every branch that bears fruit, he prunes it so that it may bear more fruit. Okay, so think about the pruning process. You don't want to kill the plant, but you want to remove all the bad stuff so all the good stuff can come in. So I learned, did you know that in order for a grapevine to produce fruit that's usable, it has to be pruned, 90% of it has to be pruned away before that fruit can grow into what it's supposed to be. 90%. So Jesus used that illustration that God is the vine dresser and the one that prunes us. So we need to really it's not as easy as surface level stuff. We got to get down and we got to look at 100% of ourselves and remove up to 90% of those character defects. Well, 100% of them, but there might be a lot in there that we got to get to work on. So step 6 is all about getting ready to do that. You got to mentally prepare yourself to do that. You got to understand what humility means. These steps are all about humility. So humility simply means this: to view yourself accurately, to understand who you are. It's understanding what's in the bank so you don't write checks you can't cash, right? We all know how painful that can be. Well, think about that in your life when it comes to commitments, when it comes to promises that you make, when it comes to just anything that takes something from you, you have to make sure you have it first. And that's really where humility begins, is understanding those things that you have and those things that you don't have, okay? So step 6 is that. It's just getting ready to do that. It's about recognizing, identifying, and deciding to be willing to change all the defects of character. Some of that stuff we might want to hold on to. So in your recovery Bible, there is a ton of devotionals, and I'll list those in the description on step 6. And now we're going to move on to step 7, which is we humbly ask God to remove our shortcomings. So step 7 is we humbly ask God to remove our shortcomings. So step 6 was about getting ready to. Step 7 is verbalizing that to God and asking him. So step 7, you can do this in the night. A good way to do step 6 and 7 is step 6, do in the morning, and step 7, do at night. And I'm not saying that this is all going to be done in one day, but through the process that you work with your sponsor and whatever type of workbook or process that you're going through, you can do this step 6 in the morning, process it throughout the day, step 7, do at night, okay? This is about progress. It's not about perfection. This is the action step tied to step 6. So there's a reason why they're in order, because you have to get ready and understand why you're going to ask before you ask. So this is the asking step, okay? And this is something that we do on a daily basis, just in general. If we're working the 12 steps, or if we have, or even if we haven't, but we're in a recovery program and we're talking about the things that we know are our problem that we can change. And then we go to God and we ask him to help us with those things. And then we go to somebody and they hold us accountable and we start working with a group and with a sponsor and doing all that stuff. This is working step 6 and 7, even if you're not aware of it. So that's pretty cool. So the key to the process of these steps is to immediately work on them again and again and again. When something slips, or when you, and then something slips and it just kind of gets out there, just bring it back. Keep working on them. Just keep going, because it's not going to be perfect. Again, this is about progress. It's not about perfection. So steps 6 and 7, getting ready to turn those things over to God. And then step 7 is learning what those things are and asking God to help you work on them and to remove them. So let's work on humility. Let's understand what that means as a verb. That's something that we do. And as Christians, we should be doing that all the time. Let's work on repentance. Let's work on talking with each other about that. And especially, let's have faith that these 12 steps produce spiritual maturity, restoration, and recovery. So I hope to see you at a meeting sometime. There's going to be, in the description, there will be times and locations of meetings if you'd like to come to one. And I hope you guys are digging into your recovery Bibles and doing some work. So hope these videos are helpful to you. And our next videos will be on the next steps. So 8 and 9, and we will see you later.